Welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're talking about The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. The Mask of Mirrors is a Renaissance-inspired fantasy set in a city almost like Venice, but with an Eastern European flair, and is the story of duels and con artists, of beautiful clothes, and social mobility, identity. It's really a wonderful ensemble fantasy with a whole lot of really excellent, thick world building that you can really chew into, but is also very inviting. A sort of city that you want to visit yourself and feel like you can. And as you know, that's something that we always like here at Bar Cart Bookshelf. And so when I was thinking about Mask of Mirrors, which I got to read when it was released earlier this year, I wanted to do something that plays with these ideas of decadence in the novel, that there are people who are moving into the nobility, who are presenting themselves as nobility, even if they aren't necessarily. And one of the ways that the book signals decadence is through Vraszenian Spiced Chocolate. And seeing as it is that cooler part of the year where we're all looking for something a little bit richer, a little bit warmer, I thought that I would take my own take on Vraszenian Spiced Chocolate. And as you can see, we're a little bit crowded here today. That's because we will be making this hot chocolate two ways. We'll make a hot, non-alcoholic version first, and then we'll see a colder, crisp, rich dessert sort of cocktail version afterwards. So, Vraszenian Spiced Chocolate. This is a drink that's served to the main character, Ren, when she's in her role as Renata. She's a con artist, and she's sort of pretending to be this noblewoman who's arrived, a distant relative who's arrived from across the sea. And she is served this spiced chocolate. The idea is it hasn't reached even the wealthy people far away, so it's still a sign of marker of privilege and power here in the city. And she's offered this by my personal favorite character, Vargo, this sort of magical smuggler, nouveau riche kind of guy who's playing his own cons and plots as well. And she describes it as sort of redolent of cinnamon and vanilla. So I wanted to bring some of those notes forward, and with that in mind, let's get started. So I've started by getting 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, unsweetened cocoa powder, here in my mug. You can use a commercial hot chocolate, but it's going to be a lot sweeter. If you've got a sweet tooth, more power to you for that. And then we're going to get half an ounce of vanilla syrup. So you can see this is a vanilla extract bottle. I was making pies the other day, and I finished off the bottle of vanilla, and there was a bit of residue, just a little bit of vanilla still in there. So I thought, let's make a syrup with that. And it's just wonderfully appropriate for this book because Ren, she's pretending to be this nobility. She doesn't have the budget to buy clothes and do all of the stuff that she needs to do to really be a noble. So her sister, Tess, is a seamstress, and she reworks all of Ren's dresses so that they can work in different ways for different occasions. So this idea of doing something really excellent, but doing it in a frugal way is something that I think ties in nicely with the book and with the way that we're all sort of trying to drink and get things done this time of year. So if you're doing any holiday baking or any seasonal sort of cooking, you finish off that bottle of vanilla, just turn it into a syrup, equal parts sugar and water in there with whatever's left, shake it up, you're good to go. It tastes really excellent. So we've got a half ounce of that in there, and we'll get a half ounce of a pecan orgeat. And this is another sort of bit of frugality because you might recall we made a pecan liqueur earlier in the fall, and I took the nuts left over from making the liqueur, soaking it in alcohol, and turned them into a syrup, a nice sort of non-alcoholic syrup that's got that nuttiness, a really nice rich flavor for fall and winter. And so we've got our 2 syrups in there, and we're going to want to stir that in with the chocolate just to get it sort of start to mix. Excellent. You want sort of like a little paste. And we'll get our spoon. We'll just leave the spoon in there. Don't want to make too much of a mess. And then, because it's hot chocolate, got my thermos here with the hot water. I think you can see the steam. I can certainly see the steam, and I'm glad it's not fogging my glasses up. And we're going to want to get just 3/4 of a cup of that in there. And because we've got the syrups, we don't want to use hot milk all the way because that would be just a little too rich. So we've got 6 ounces or 3/4 of a cup of hot water. Just get these totally out of our way now. We don't really want to do a whole lot of stirring with the hot water right there within reach, and we'll give that a stir. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, it smells so nice. And then we do still want a bit of dairy, a bit of extra richness. And we're gonna flip this bad boy over and get 2 ounces of heavy cream in there instead of whole milk, using that heavy cream. Ooh, can I do the transfer? Wonderful. Ooh, slight spill. That's okay. It happens sometimes. Just tidy that up. And so we've got our cream in there for a little extra decadence. And of course, because it is a spiced chocolate, we're going to add some bitters. We're going to add about 3 dashes of our aromatic bitters. Lots of baking spice notes in there. Cinnamon, clove, allspice. Just a really wonderful sort of blend of spices that's going to bring everything that you sort of want to have without having to go and grab the whole spice rack and add, some powdered ginger or some powdered cloves. You've already got it, and it's already ready to mix. Now, to finish things off, we're going to get our cinnamon, just a little extra touch of cinnamon, and we're going to get a little sprinkle, the spoon out of the way, of cinnamon on top to garnish. Lovely. And that's going to add a wonderful aromatic note. As you're smelling it, it's not so much that it's going to overwhelm, but just accent and be the first thing that greets your nose. So there you have a hot version of Vraszenian Spiced Chocolate, a non-alcoholic version, really warm, great for sitting by the fire, and really pleasant. A bit bittersweet because you're using the unsweetened chocolate, and a bit bright because we've got that sort of vanilla and the pecan in there. So a wonderful blend of spices and sweeteners. And sometimes you want something with a little bit of an extra kick, a nice little dessert cocktail. So we're going to do our alcoholic version. And instead of doing our unsweetened chocolate, I've got my creme de cacao right here. Wonderful. Get that uncapped. So our chocolate element will be the creme de cacao, and we'll get 1.5 ounces of that in there. Wonderful. Nice, rich, dark chocolate, really wonderful fruity notes. It's one of my favorite ingredients for fall and winter. So we've seen it some before. We'll see it some again, I promise. And now we're going to add our sweeteners again. You'll see these are the exact same ingredients, the exact same flavors. It's just one is going to be our alcoholic version and one is not. We're going to balance things out because there is some sugar in the creme de cacao by using just 1/4 ounce each of our vanilla syrup and our pecan orgeat. Just a little bit less sweet because you've already got the sweetness in the creme de cacao. Wonderful. Ooh. Everything smells so wonderful. I can just smell the hot chocolate, and I'm ready to have a sip. And then, to finish things off, because we do need our dairy element, we'll get the cream in there. A full ounce of that to bring it to our standard cocktail size of 3 ounces of liquid and our bitters. Getting that 1, 2, 3. Yeah. You don't want to be shy with bitters. Though it is easy to add more, hard to add less. If it's not a flavor profile that you like, start with just 2 dashes. You can always add a bit more. And then we'll get our ice in there. A couple of cubes, and we'll get this nice and cold and frothy. Perfect. There you go. Seal that with the flat of your hand, as always. And then shake it up, wake it up. So you can see we've got that frost forming on the tin. We've got the froth and the foam going on inside from the cream. And we'll give that a tap to open it on up. Wonderful. And take our Nick and Nora here, our Hawthorne strainer, and we'll strain into there. So a nice chocolatey color. Wonderful. And then we'll snag our cinnamon again and get our little sprinkle of that on top here as well. Lovely. Give that a swirl just to get the cinnamon across the surface of the glass. And there you have it. Vraszenian Spiced Chocolate, 2 ways. Hot, non-alcoholic, cold, a little bit of alcohol in there. Nice cocktail-mocktail double feature for The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. One of my favorite books of the year. Book 2 in the trilogy, the Rook and the Rose trilogy, The Liar's Knot, will be available next week. I have my copy pre-ordered, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing it here on the channel before too long. As always, got links to written versions of the recipes down below. Written versions, haha. And remember to like and subscribe, try the drink, let me know what you think. Got ingredients and tools down below as well, and a link to snag the book. So until next time, cheers.